The only time I was afraid to heal someone. The world has never seen me hesitate. They remember the calm command that silenced the storm, the simple touch that cleansed the leper, the quiet word that raised the dead. Every miracle recorded seems effortless, an immediate flowing expression of divine power. But there was one singular, profound moment in my ministry, a moment that revealed the full tension between my divine authority and my human love, when I experienced a holy, overriding fear. The only time I was afraid to heal someone was not because the illness was too great or the demand too exhausting. I was afraid because the person seeking healing was already standing on the precipice of a fate far worse than any physical ailment, the loss of their eternal soul. The woman who sought my healing was a Gentile from the region of Tyre and Sidon. She was a Canaanite, a descendant of the ancient enemies of Israel, a woman defined by her exclusion from the covenant. She came to me with a desperate plea. "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely tormented by a demon." Her pain was raw. Her need was absolute. Her faith, as I would soon reveal, was incandescent. Yet, when she first approached me, I did the unthinkable. I did not answer her a word. This silence was not indifference. This was the moment of my greatest fear. This was my profound wrestling with the boundaries of the Father's established plan, the historical covenant with Israel, and the universal, relentless love that defined my mission. I was afraid that by extending the covenant blessings prematurely and carelessly, I might violate the Father's ordained timeline and confuse the very purpose of my immediate mission, thereby jeopardizing the path that would ultimately save her and all other Gentiles. The fear was that my grace would be misunderstood as license rather than covenant love. My disciples, driven by their own discomfort and cultural bias, urged me to send her away. Send her away, for she cries out after us. They saw her as a noise, an annoyance, a distraction from the Jewish work. I then spoke the first words that seemed to confirm her exclusion, words that were deliberately hard, meant to test the very core of her belief and reveal a hidden truth to my disciples. I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This was the first part of the test. I was forcing her to confront the boundary of the current covenant. I was demanding she acknowledge the priority of my mission to Israel. Do you feel excluded from the Father's attention, convinced your background, your history, or your current circumstances place you outside the circle of grace? My intentional silence and seemingly harsh words were the very tools I used to reveal the depth of an unshakable faith. If this narrative speaks to the longing in your heart for acceptance, I invite you to subscribe now. Let us uncover the truth that unlocks my universal grace. The woman was undeterred. She was not stopped by my silence, nor by the disciples' scorn, nor by my explicit statement of priority. She simply came and worshipped me, saying, "Lord, help me." She moved from asking for mercy, a general plea, to offering worship, a specific recognition of my divinity. She moved from demanding a favor to proclaiming my identity. And then I delivered the line that was the most difficult for my human tongue to utter, the line that represented the summit of the test. It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. The word dogs was the common pejorative term used by Jews for Gentiles. But I used the diminutive form, kunaria, meaning little dogs or house pets. This subtle shift was not meant to condemn her. It was meant to give her an opening to respond with brilliant humility. I was forcing her to leap over the ultimate cultural barrier and respond with a faith that transcended tribal identity. I was afraid to heal her until I was certain that her soul was ready for the magnitude of the gift, ensuring that the healing would lead to eternal salvation, not just temporary relief. The second truth, the conquest of covenant, and the woman's response was the genius of faith. It was the moment she proved her soul was not merely seeking a handout, but grasping the universal truth of the kingdom. She replied, "Yes, Lord, yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table." Her answer was utterly magnificent. She did not argue the point. She accepted the position, the little dog, but demanded the privilege of the house. She affirmed my authority. "Yes, Lord." She did not question my judgment. She appealed to my nature. She recognized that even the crumbs, the overflow of the covenant provision, were sufficient for her need. She understood that my grace operates not by scarcity, but by superabundance. In that single, breathtaking exchange, she conquered the covenant. She forced the universal love that defines the Father to break through the historical barriers of the covenant. She understood that my overflow is greater than the world's scarcity. My fear, the holy fear of disrupting the Father's timeline, vanished, replaced by ecstatic admiration. I proclaimed, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire." That was my confession. I did not praise her for her persistence. I praised her for her faith, the quality that, when absolute, transcends all legal and cultural boundaries. The healing was instantaneous, and her daughter was healed from that very hour. Are you living on the crumbs of faith, believing that only a fraction of my grace is meant for you? I tell you, the crumbs that fall from my table are enough to heal your deepest wounds. If the immense faith of this woman inspires you to move from passive waiting to active, humble worship, share this narrative. Let others know that persistence in faith unlocks the impossible. Before you continue, make sure you are subscribed. The third section will detail the internal lessons I learned from her. The third truth, the internal lessons I learned. The only time I was afraid to heal someone became one of my greatest teaching moments, both for my disciples and for me, the Son of Man, wrestling with the limitations of my earthly mission. I learned 3 crucial lessons from that woman. The priority of love over law. My divine consciousness always recognized the supremacy of love, but my human mission was bound by the law and the historical covenant with Israel. The Canaanite woman, through her sheer faith, forced the universal love to manifest publicly, confirming that the spiritual, loving purpose of the covenant was always superior to its rigid, legalistic interpretation. She taught my disciples that love must always cross the line of cultural prejudice. The power of humility. The disciples were paralyzed by pride, debating greatness. The woman was liberated by humility. She was willing to accept the lowest place, the little dog, in order to secure the highest blessing. I realized then the profound power of self-abasement to disarm prejudice and unlock grace. Her humility made her unstoppable, the non-negotiable criterion. The entire exchange confirmed that faith is the single, non-negotiable criterion for receiving the radical benefits of the kingdom. Not nationality, not ritual, not even immediate obedience, but faith. The absolute, total reliance on my character, regardless of my initial words or actions. The healing of the Canaanite woman's daughter was not just a side miracle. It was a prophetic statement, a quiet, powerful sign that the door of salvation was already open to the Gentiles, confirming the ultimate global scope of my mission long before the cross. It was the moment I stopped wrestling with the how and the when of the Gentile mission and simply embraced the fact that faith trumps all barriers. The recovery from fear. My fear was not of failure, but of error. My human mind was dedicated to fulfilling the Father's will exactly as prescribed. My fear was healed the moment I witnessed a faith so great that it demonstrated the Father's will was already breaking through the boundaries of the established form. The woman's faith became my affirmation. Her humble, persistent worship gave me the ultimate spiritual green light to proceed with the full, unbridled power of my love. I was afraid to heal her until I was certain that the act would serve the eternal purpose. Her response confirmed that purpose. Salvation is for all who dare to believe, regardless of who or what the world deems them to be. Is there an obstacle, a historical prejudice, a cultural boundary, or a personal feeling of unworthiness that stands between you and the full grace of God? My encounter with the Canaanite woman proves that your faith is the key that unlocks all doors. Approach me with her humility and persistence, and you will find your answer. Subscribe now and join the mission of faith that conquers all barriers. The final enduring lesson of that day is one of persistent prayer. When you approach me, do not be deterred by silence, delay, or perceived rejection. Press in with humble worship and unwavering belief. If my love is the bread and the world's need is the hunger, then your persistent faith ensures that the crumbs of my abundance will fall onto your lap and bring about the healing you need. And I, the Son of God, will look at your face and say, "Great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire."